Hello everyone, my name is Jules Chin Greene. I'm a staff writer here at Popverse, and I have the honor to be here at New York Comic Con with George Takei. George, how has your Comic Con been thus far?
Thus far, it's been just Friday, day before yesterday, and it was a piece of cake.
That's great to hear. And so when it comes to big events like this, it brings me back to one of my favorite Trek moments from Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home, where the Enterprise crew are running around present-day San Francisco. And when I look at all the crowds here, I start to wonder, like, if Sulu and the rest of the crew were to transport themselves, like, right here in New York Comic Con today, what do you think they would make of all the festivities?
Well, as you know, we visited San Francisco, and that's a phantasmagoric city to begin with. And we were driving down, I guess it was 11th Avenue, and I saw a phantasmagoric Manhattan crowd walking down the sidewalk. They came in all colors and flavors and antennas and costumes, or lack thereof. I mean, it's chilly outside, but some women were very scantily dressed. So I thought, oh, this is like San Francisco.
Right.
So the first time I think that Manhattan's been compared with San Francisco.
Absolutely. And so with all these years since you first debuted as Sulu, has your view on the character changed at all since you first began?
Well, we all change. We're changing right now. That film, Star Trek The Voyage Home, was filmed back almost, 30 or 40 years ago.
Right.
So I've changed since then. You've changed. I don't think you were born yet.
I was not around.
No, you were not. So we're constantly changing, and that's what makes life interesting or horrific, depending on how you live it.
Right, and which direction you change in, I suppose.
Well, that's how you live it.
Right.
You have a part in that too. You're not just helplessly being pushed forth by time.
Right.
You have the power to guide the direction that you live your life in.
Absolutely.
I hope you like what you've done with your life so far.
And so in recent years, with graphic novels like They Called Us Enemy and It Rhymes with Takei, you've expanded into the world of comics and graphic novels. Did you remember seeing comics around as a kid and as a young adult?
Well, I had a very un-American childhood. Pearl Harbor had been bombed. We were Californians. I was born and raised in California. My mother was born and raised in California. My father was from Japan, but he was brought to San Francisco as a child, and he was raised and educated there. And we happened to look exactly like the people that bombed Pearl Harbor. And this nation went hysterical. War hysteria and race hysteria. And 125,000 Japanese Americans on the West Coast were summarily rounded up with no charge, no trial, which is a core of our justice system. We were rounded up at gunpoint and placed in barbed wire prison camps. It's almost like a fantastical novel, isn't it? Innocent people, totally innocent, except for the fact that we looked different, and we were imprisoned. And we were taken from California to Arkansas, the farthest and it was a barbed wire prison camp. There were 10 camps all over in some of the most isolated places in America. There were 2 in Arkansas, There were camps in Wyoming, Idaho, Utah, Colorado, all god-awful places of those very isolated places. And we were taken to a camp in the farthest east, almost by the Mississippi, a camp called Roar, although the guards call it Roar. And I thought they pronounced it that way because they were trying to scare us. They sounded like lions, and I was a spunky kid. I was determined not to let them frighten me, although most people there behaved very, not obsequiously, but very wary of, they had guns,
Right.
I mean rifles, there were barbed wire fences, very sharp barbs on them, and tall sentry towers with machine guns pointed at us. It was a camp. We had no communication with the outside world, no radio, no movies, and certainly no books.
Right.
None, nothing. And then from there we were transferred to another, even harsher camp back in California, but in the cold, windswept plains of Northern California.
Right.
And there they had 3 barbed wire fences and tanks patrolling the perimeter, and bristled with armaments, machine guns, everything. So I grew up totally devoid of any kind of connection with anything American. To me, America was barbed wire fences, tanks, machine guns.
Truly. And, you know, it's a tragedy for so many reasons, but it's also, you missed out on that quintessential American tradition of stories, you know, storytelling through comics.
Well, we have an American tradition of racial prejudice.
That is true, yeah.
And I wrote about it, but what I wrote about of my childhood is repeating itself again today. So it's not history. People who learn from history can make it not current. It will remain history.
Right.
Because of our education, and you say you didn't know about that part of American history.
Oh, I did.
We repeat it.
Right.
But there's so many people that don't know.
Yeah.
And that's why I've written 3 books on the internment. And we're repeating it again because not enough Americans know the history of America.
Right. And I think, you know, when it comes to the fact that you've been so brave and also just so personal in terms of getting your story out, whether it's in It Rhymed with Takei or They Called Us Enemy, about your experiences like as a gay Japanese American man, what is it like to collaborate with other creators on a book like this, and to really dig deep into your experiences and then share it with others in order to create something new?
Well, the only person that I've worked with before is Stephen Scott. The others I was introduced to via the book. So, for example, the drawings were done by Harmony Becker, and she has an interesting background. She was born in Japan, raised in Korea. She was married to a Korean, and then came to America.
Oh, wow.
I don't think she knew about
Right.
the internment history of America, and she lived in. I think her family is in Chicago or Illinois, someplace, and she lives in Mexico City, of all
wow.
places. So I really didn't have that much contact with her. Stephen was one I knew from before I wrote They Called Us Enemy. And so I knew him, but he was living in Vancouver, British Columbia. So I had little direct personal contact.
Right. To get at a bigger picture here, you're an icon to, within Asian American culture and beyond, and you've inspired, countless both queer and Asian American people like myself to take pride in our heritage. What is something that you hope to see in the future for Asian Americans as well as queer people with regard to the arts?
I am an American, and my vision of the future is an American vision. This country is very unique in that we are a nation that was founded on this continent. The United States was founded on North America, and so we call ourselves Americans. And the first people that defined the English-speaking part of this country were those that came from Britain, fleeing religious persecution or poverty and seeking new opportunities. And then the subsequent people that came were like them, but they came from other parts of Europe, primarily Southern Europe, well, also Ireland too.
In Germany, yeah.
Germans came later on, but yes, the Irish had a famine that impoverished the country, and so hungry Irish people with their children came to America. People from Italy, poverty-stricken people, that came to the United States. And then other people saw that America was a land of opportunity. These people came and flourished, and other people started coming from further east in Europe. War was over, and many Germans and Jews, the Jewish people, were persecuted, and they came. And people from Asia, China, Japan, and later on Koreans, but initially the Chinese, because of the gold rush in California.
My folks.
Your folks. To California?
Well, actually, my grandmother was a war bride, and then my grandfather immigrated here from China and was able to come back after World War II. But that was skipping through time a little bit. But
so you were part of the Asian immigration here. My grandparents came from Japan, and they farmed in Northern California, in the Sacramento area. I say my mother was born in Sacramento, but actually it was a rural farm country that was area of that part of California that was called Florin. And my mother was born in Florin, but Florin was taken over by Sacramento, and Sacramento County. And if I tell people my mother was born in Florin, they don't know where that is, because it doesn't exist anymore. And so I tell people my mother was born in Sacramento, but she's proud of her birthplace in Florin.
for sure. And so
And she told me that my grandfather, her father, was one of the first people in Florin to own a Model T Ford.
oh wow.
He was quite successful as a farmer, and he had a beautiful Model T Ford to show off. And I thought it was my mother showing off, telling me about her father. But I checked it out with my aunt, my mother's sister, and with my mother's brother, my uncle. And they too verified that Grandpa Nakamura, my mother was Nakamura, had a Model T Ford.
Wow. So, I think for us as in our present day, we can look back to the past as well as the present to understand really how to protect ourselves in the future as well as the present.
You were asking about the future. America is made up of all these different people. They bring different cultural backgrounds. The people from Latin America came up too. And so we are one of the most diverse countries. And that's what makes America vital, vibrant culturally, vibrant as a creative nation, seeing various things from various different vantage points, people who bring or acquire different talents, and they make the United States a dynamic place. And we as Americans are going to be building the future. And I'm associated with Star Trek, of which I'm very proud. And I think our future really is working together in concert with a mix of people going to the future. And it's going to be happening very soon, as soon as possibly February of next year. Artemis 2 is going to shoot off, and well, we've been to the moon. We've landed men on the moon, but it's only the side that faces the Earth.
Right.
There is the back side of the Earth that we've not been to, and Artemis 2 is going to be going beyond the moon,
Right.
5,000 nautical miles, and will look down on the side of the moon that's never been looked at, and come back. A 10-day journey, 4 people, and they are all diverse because there are going to be different forces working on them, and we all have different makeups, and they're going to study how we survive out there, and from different vantage points, and they get that vantage point together and get a better idea of what that's like. It's an exciting prospect. On Star Trek, we had this acronym, IDIC, I-D-I-C, infinite diversity in infinite combinations, working together and sharing our experience together, boldly going where no one had gone before.
Onwards and upwards.
That's the exciting thing.
Yes, perfect.
And that may happen in February, that may happen in April, but it's happening early next year.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for speaking with me today. It was an honor. And It Rhymes with Takei is available now from IDW Publishing, and enjoy the rest of your con. Thank you so much.